Hello everybody, Skyward33 here, and today I'm gonna show you how I built my Super Mario Flood costume. So first off, just a tiny bit of background. My costume is from the game Super Mario Sunshine, and I'm obviously Super Mario with his special backpack called the F.L.U.D. Pack. This is a better picture of it, and basically it's a backpack that sprays water and talks to Mario and gives him hints and stuff. It's pretty nifty. I decided to try to build that this year. First of all, I started off drawing some sketches of how I wanted it to look and how I wanted it to work. Here's sketch 1, sketch 2, sketch 3, and sketch 4. Now I'm going to show you all the pieces I used to build this project. Bear in mind there are a lot of them, so I'm going to just go through them pretty quickly. An old container, a pail and a cup, ball and chain prop, some flower pots, some PVC pipe, different shapes and stuff, an old drain hose, a wood disc, some styrofoam 5-inch balls, these for a swivel piece, a little birdhouse, which I only used the top part, these paper mache containers with lids, these paper mache eggs, some felt, some foam, an old backpack, a wooden pole, bunch of zip ties, and these to connect the PVC pipes together, some spray paint of different colors, some screws, some goop, some hot glue, different model paints, and model brushes. Now the first thing I did was take the ball and chain apart, and then I cut a hole in the ball to get rid of the stump part. Next I took the old container and a bit of PVC pipe and cut a hole big enough for the PVC pipe to slide through it. Next I took the pail and scoop, cut off the handle, and I cut a hole in the back. Next I took this little cup and cut a hole in the bottom. Then I took 2 of the paper mache eggs and cut them into 2 pieces, one side being much larger than the other. And then I took the third one and cut it more towards the middle so that the other piece is a bit bigger. Then I cut holes in the top of those pieces. Next I took the drain pipe and cut a small segment off of it and filed it down. Then I took the zip ties and the swivel hinges and put them on there so that they were a little bit tighter, because they were just really spinny. And then I cut the zip ties close. Next I used some of the PVC pipe and the zip tie swivel, and I put the smaller zip ties through the pieces into the PVC pipe to make the hinge for the arms, like this. And then I did the same thing for the other piece and then connected it onto there with a bunch of zip ties, and that's what it looks like. I did that twice, and then I glued all the pieces of PVC pipe together. And I glued a piece of PVC pipe into the bottom of the cup, and then I cut the cup in half. Olaf died. Selfie! Next I spray painted the frame all silver. I spray painted a bunch of the other pieces silver too. I spray painted half of the ball and chain silver and half of the styrofoam balls silver. Then I spray painted the drainage pipe blue. I spray painted a bunch of pieces yellow after this, like the paper mache lids, a couple pieces of the eggs, and the wood piece. Next, I took the styrofoam balls and set them on top of a container and spray painted them yellow so that the silver part stayed through, like so. I did the same thing with the large ball. And next, I fitted the lid piece to the container over the one piece of PVC pipe that wasn't connected to the other ones yet. Then I glued that in place. Next, I glued the wooden circle piece to the bottom of the container. And next, I glued them all together. And just to be safe, I drilled a hole in the bottom of the wood base and put a screw in it to hold them all together. Next, I glued the paper mache painted egg pieces to the PVC pipe frame along with the blue drainage pipe, like so, to form the pump section of the costume. Next, I drew some lines on the papier-mâché lid to mark where I was going to cut so that they would fit onto the arm pieces. I cut those off along with a slight circle piece on the rounded papier-mâché egg pieces that were cut off earlier, and then I glued them over the hinges for the arms, and they looked sort of like dish. Next, I took my Dremel and drilled 2 holes in the bottom of the metal flower pots, and then I used a screw and screwed them into the styrofoam balls like so. I was a little bit sloppy painting the yellow on the large ball, so I went back with my model paint and fixed it. So I painted over the yellow on the silver to make it just all silver, and then I put a black highlight around it all to give it like an edge, and then I drew a little sketch of the screw piece in the middle, like so, and then I painted it, and then I added the rounded parts at the ends of it. And then I did the same thing to the smaller pieces, adding an edge, which it's kind of hard to just paint styrofoam with a paintbrush. And then I did the same thing to both of them, like so. So they all looked like that. Next, I took some of the extra chain link pieces, put them in the bottom of the 1 cup piece. Then I glued the silver point onto the back of the large ball, and the silver pail to the other end of the large ball to form the nozzle. I then glued the cup with the pieces in it to the bottom to give it the mounting point so that it could connect to the top of the frame. Next, I spray painted the inside of the pail so that it was the same color. Next, I tried to make some handles for it with the foam, but I really didn't like how they turned out, so I just started over with a circle, gluing it to the end of them, and then ended up just wrapping it with the fabric instead, so there wasn't any foam in there after all. And I actually like how that turned out. I did that to both sides, and then I took a brown Sharpie and just sort of highlighted the lines for the fun of it, which I think it looks kind of cool that way. And then I took a blue Sharpie and just drew a circle on each end so that it sort of resembled buttons. Next, I took the backpack straps and cut them off, and then I hot glued them to be loops. I took zip ties and zip tied them tightly to the metal frame on both sides, and then I cut the zip tie pieces really short. Next, I painted carefully over the zip ties with model paint to make them look metal like the rest of the frame. And as a bonus, I decided to make the other nozzle for it by sawing off 2 small circles from the long wooden pole, drilling holes into them, putting screws through it, screwing them into the styrofoam balls, and then putting the extra PVC pieces I made up for the other nozzle on top of the wooden pieces and gluing them on there to form the flight nozzle. Next, I took a silver Sharpie and just went over certain parts of the frame and just like smudged it so that it blended in well and made it look a little better. Here it is with the flight nozzle in place, and here it is with the regular nozzle in place. And there it is without the comparison. And it was at this time where I knew I messed up. Apparently, the main nozzle piece is supposed to have 2 screw markings on it instead of just 1. So I was like, oh no. So I went back to my model paint and drew a little fine line with a pencil, filled it in with silver, did a line around it, and basically did the same thing as I did before. So now there's 2 of them on there. And here is the final product. Ta-da! So both sides look pretty good. And for my Mario costume itself, I bought a Mario hat, gloves, and mustache online. I got a pair of overalls. I got a red shirt, a couple pieces of foam to put over my shoulders so the strap wouldn't hurt after a while, some old boots from Goodwill, and some shoe polish, which I just polished them up to make them look a little bit better. And that's what I had for my actual Mario costume. Next, I wanted to make a shine sprite for the fun of it, so at my school I modeled up and 3D printed a shine sprite. So here it is with the extra filament attached, like so. Here it is once the filament was removed, and then I spray painted it gold. I did a tiny bit of touch up on the eyes with black, and then a tiny bit with silver. And here I am as Mario. Here I am with the shine sprite, and here I am with the backpack attached, which I think it actually turned out really well. In total, I spent a lot more this year than I did last year. I spent $176 approximately, according to all of my receipts from all of my different places I went. And this year, it only took me about a month to make this entire project. And the reason I spent so much on it this year is because I'm also planning on hopefully going cosplaying next year. The first con I'm hoping to go to, this isn't for sure, is Shuto-Con. So if any of you guys are going to Shuto-Con next year, 2016, maybe you'll see me there. So that'll be fun. And yeah, thanks for watching. Bye-bye.